Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at installing the Roadmaster Rear Anti-Sway Bar on a 2016 Winnebago Spirit. Upgrading your rear sway bar to a thicker version like we have here on a Roadmaster is going to make a big difference when driving the vehicle. Now your standard sway bar does a pretty good job of holding the vehicle in a nice even fashion. So when that suspension kind of leans to the other side, the sway bar just pushes back and centers it up. And having a thicker bar to be able to do that means that it's going to be centered up a lot quicker. It's not going to lean as much, and overall it's just going to reduce driving fatigue because you're not having to fight the steering wheel as those gusts of wind come across the highway or if you pass a truck. This is really going to help with that experience. And the great part about something like a sway bar or any suspension components is every time you drive it, you're going to feel it working and you're really going to enjoy it just because you'll have an overall better driving experience. Now comparing our Roadmaster sway bar to the factory one, you can see pretty quickly that this is much thicker gauge steel. It's a stronger construction, so it's going to fight that sway a little bit more. And also just looking at the end links, these are obviously a little bit more heavy duty than those factory ones as well. We also have this nice polyurethane bushings throughout. So this is really, when you feel the difference driving, you're going to see why, and that's strictly because this is just heavier duty. Not only do we have a thicker sway bar to combat that sway, but we also have polyurethane bushings, and with high-end performance sway bars on other vehicles, polyurethane is truly the best way to go. It holds up to heat, any corrosion from road grime or water, it doesn't really matter. This stuff is super durable, and it just makes for a much smoother, less creaky noise as it flexes, and overall it's just a great product that's going to give you a lifetime of anti-sway. And not only do we have it on the brackets that attach to the axle, but we also have them on the end links. So anything that's moving on our sway bar is going to have that urethane, keeping it nice and smooth. Now we took it out on our test course, and immediately it's absolutely noticeable that the sway bar is doing its job. As we turn, you can just feel that the vehicle's a little bit more planted, and I'm not going to say sporty is the adjective, but you definitely get more feedback, and overall it just drives better. And it's definitely one of those things that it's hard for me to explain how it's going to feel, but as soon as you hop in your vehicle with the new sway bar, you're going to be really happy that you have it. Now, another great part about adding this upgraded rear sway bar is it's really not that hard to put in. Now, you're going to be under your RV, obviously, but it can be done in your driveway or garage. You don't actually need to lift the vehicle up. It might get a little bit tight on a few spots, and you will have to drill a new hole into the frame rail just to get your end links to bolt up. But other than that, it uses the factory hardware for mounting it up into here. And the whole kit comes supplied with your Loctite, grease, everything you need. So really you can knock this out, I'd say about an hour, hour and a half at most, and the results that you're going to get from it are totally worth it. So I'm going to show you how to get it installed. Let's take a look at that install. Beginner installation, we need to go ahead and remove our factory rear sway bar, and we're going to start by taking off our end links, as these should be mounted up to our frame. It does have a locking plate that creates a weld nut on the back side, so with a 15mm socket, we should be able to get this taken off pretty easily. Now we're obviously doing this on a lift to make it easier for you all at home to see, but this can be done you know, in your garage or on a driveway, as long as you can get clearance to be able to get to all your hardware. This installation should be done on flat ground, just to make sure it's nice and level. We'll just go ahead and repeat on the other side as well. Next, we're going to go to our brackets where it's attached to our rear axle, and we're going to get these taken off. Now, these are going to be a 13mm socket to be able to do that. Now, keep in mind you have 2 bolts on each attachment point to the rear axle, but as you take these down, just know that that's what's supporting the sway bar, so make sure that you're not right underneath it and maybe have something ready to support it when it comes down. Now we can set this aside. Now you're going to want to grab some nitrile or latex gloves, and we'll just go ahead and take the supplied grease that they include, and we're just going to kind of lather it up on the inside here. So just kind of coat that whole inside. You should have enough to be able to really get both of them done pretty well, and if you want to, you can also do the outside here if you have any excess. So now we can just kind of split these, and right here where it makes the bend, we're going to go ahead and just slide these on. You can then take your bracket and slide that on as well. We'll do that on both sides. Now we're going to get ready to lift this up in place using those same bolts that we took out from the previous brackets. But before we do that, we're going to take the supplied Loctite here and coat the threads. That way it holds these in place for the lifespan of the sway bar. Now to get this in place, you might, if you're doing this by yourself, you might want to use a jack to kind of support it. I have my friend AJ here helping me out. So make sure that the sticker is facing the proper orientation. And then we'll just raise this up into place. I'm going to just get one of them started on each side, and then we can go ahead and get the rest of the hardware in. And we'll go ahead and get this tightened down. Now with those bolts holding it up for us, it's going to make it easier to get the rest of the hardware in. Now we are going to be putting some flat washers on here, so grab those from the kit before threading this in. And then we'll go back. Once we get these in place and tighten, we'll go ahead and put the washers on the ones that were holding the sway bar up for us. Now with those tightened down, there is going to be a torque setting to get those properly in place. So if you need a torque wrench, we have them available here at eTrailer. You can generally rent them at an auto parts store, and we'll just go through and torque these all down properly. So now we're going to get our end links attached, and we'll grab our bolt and put a flat washer on. We're then going to feed this through one of the end link holes, follow it up with another flat washer, attach that to the sway bar, follow it up with another flat washer, and then we're just going to hand tighten on the nylon lock nut just for now, and then we're going to go ahead and repeat on the other side. You're going to want to make sure that if you are doing this on flat ground, that this sway bar is going to be level. So go ahead and kind of get this in place to where it should be sitting nice and even here. Now at this point, we're going to need to mark holes for where we're going to drill to mount our new end links, as they're not going to use the factory spot. So you want to make sure that this is centered up. So kind of, you can eyeball it here. It looks like there is some clearance that's going to be kind of an issue on this side. So just kind of scoot that down. And then what we're going to do is just make sure that it's level. And you might want to use a floor jack to keep it level. We're going to take our end links, swing these up, and get these in the most vertical position we can. Now once we have our sway bar level and our end link in a perfect vertical position, we'll go ahead and just make a mark here with a paint marker or a chalk marker, and that's where we're going to be drilling out for our new hole. And I'm going to go ahead and drill this out with a pilot hole. We are going to come back with a 17/32 drill bit, but the pilot hole is going to get this at least started for us. Now check the back side of the frame. You want to make sure there's no wires or anything that you might make contact with before drilling. With our hole drilled out, we're going to go ahead, take our bolt, put a flat washer on it, and we'll pass this through the end link. And then between the end link and the frame, we're going to make sure to put another flat washer, so go ahead and do that. Raise this up, get this passed through the frame. And then on the inside of the frame rail, we're going to finish it up with another flat washer and our nylon lock nut. Now at this point, we can go ahead and get these all tightened down as far as the end link hardware, and then we're going to come back with our torque wrench. And to get these tightened down, I'm going to be using a 19mm wrench and a socket here to get this snugged down, and then we'll be doing the same thing with our torque wrench instead of an impact. Now with everything properly tightened and torqued down, all that's left to do is take it out on the road and notice the difference. Now I do recommend, after driving around a little bit, that's going to allow this to move around, and you may have some hardware that once it settles might get a little bit loose, so go back and double check everything. But enjoy having a new sway bar and the new driving experience that you're going to have with your RV. And that was a look and installation of the Roadmaster Rear Anti-Sway Bar on a 2016 Winnebago Spirit.